Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation here on BRT TV. The holiday you ever had coming back to Cyprus was actually the most critical point, one of the most critical points in the history of Cyprus was actually the 74 peace operation. So you're actually here at a very special time, I suppose, although at the time probably didn't feel that way. I mean, being stranded here for 3 months. So in this book, Holiday in a Warzone, you're talking about that specific time in history. What was it like for you? I mean, obviously we have to read the book to find out more. I don't reveal everything that you read right in the book, but what was it like to be here as a young child in a time where you thought, you know, what's going on, in a frightening time on this small island? I mean, what were your first thoughts?
First thoughts were, wow, you know, unbelievable. You know, hearts were pounding when we heard that Greeks were coming to our village and asking us to surrender. But after that incident, we sort of calmed down. We didn't know whether we was going to make it back to the UK and see our family again. But amazingly enough, as children, we adapted to the situation and the environment and everything that was going on around us. And we were still kids. We still, from day to day, had our little games and fun and play. And we became patriotic as well because of what was happening around us. And Cyprus was, you know, it felt like, even though we'd never been there before, it was our first visit to the island, it felt like home. So it became ours as well, and we became patriotic. And
you were at the village, staying at the village.
My mother was from Lefkonigo, which is now Gechikale, which was a mainly Greek village with a few Turkish people on the outskirts. My grandparents were forced out of, they moved to a place in Ipsitla, which is now Sütlace, the next town down from Gechikale. So when we came over, we were in Ipsitla. My grandparents were there. We lived there most of the time. We had friends and relatives in Nicosia, and we spent some of the time in Nicosia and Ortaköy in Nicosia during 1974.
So even though, I mean, you adapted very well, you became patriotic at that time, I mean, as a young child, you know, maybe you didn't really understand fully what was going on around you. I mean, you know, the displacement between the two communities, north and south, and, you know, the divide, and the fact that, you know, the troops had to come from Turkey to prevent annihilation of the Turkish Cypriots. Did you feel that there was some nervous tension around? I mean, were the adults, you know, speaking to each other angrily? Was there tension in the air? Were they listening to the radio, trying to find out what was going on? I mean, what was happening at that time?
Yeah, the radio was a big thing. Everyone was listening to the radio. Funny enough, my half-brother was actually working on BRT as a news broadcaster. And it was in Ipsitla that we first heard that they were coming to take over the village. And we had a news broadcast announcement on the radio by a Greek person with broken Turkish, asking everybody living in Ipsitla to gather at the coffee bar to surrender, and nothing, you know, they'd be fine. If they didn't, then they would kill them, basically. And he repeated that over and over and over again in broken Turkish. And then, you know, we didn't believe what was being said, you know, and they put my brother on the radio, who spoke fluent Turkish, of course, and he repeated once what they were saying, that we should gather at the coffee bar and everything will be fine. And then suddenly he turned around and said, "Don't listen to them, get out quick, leave the village, get out, they're going to kill you." And then there was a shuffle in the background, and that's when we all decided to try and get away as quick as possible.
You know,
scary.
A very frightening experience, I'm sure. You know, we're listening to the radio, and then people saying, "Well, go and meet there, and you'll be fine." But then really, that's not the truth. Run away, get away for your lives. I mean, that's not a very nice holiday, to be honest. When you think of coming to Cyprus for a holiday, I mean, if you were living here, then maybe it would be different. Maybe you would be used to the problems and the tensions, and it wouldn't be, I mean, obviously it would still be frightening, but quite unexpected, isn't it, really? When you come from London and coming to a little village, you're thinking, you know, my family, meet my grandparents, and, you know, everything's fine, lovely sunshine in the middle of summer, and then all of a sudden you're hearing that, get out of the house, get out of the village, because, you know, you might not survive.
Yeah, that's what we were told, you know, and we was basically told to run through the fields to a bus.
What about the other adults in the village? Were they hysterical, panicking,
There's a point where I had a cousin who actually had a camper van, and he stopped at the house after we heard the radio announcement and told us to run to the fields because there were buses waiting for us to take us to a safer town. And his camper van was packed like sardines. Yeah, it was jam-packed. He couldn't fit us in, which was, you know, hard for him as well. And he just had to drive off with a van.
So you had to run and find another bus?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I mean, it's like we're very calm about this. You know, we were told to fly to run to the fields, fly away from home. You know, we make it sound so easy, but obviously it's finding the time. So what actually happened then after that? I mean, did you actually, you know, your mum took you the kids, and where did you go from there?
Yeah, we ran through the fields with flip-flops, which wasn't easy. The soil was burning hot. There was 3 buses, one left as we were running. The second one left, and the third one was about to go, but we were lucky. Managed to get onto the bus, took us to another village. In that village, we had the people there were hosting, were letting us stay in their houses and listening to the radio. And it was at that point when the planes flew over. We heard the planes fly over the houses that we were in. And that was the Turkish planes. We called them phantoms. I don't know if they were phantoms as kids. Yeah, and apparently they put halt to they put stop to the Greeks reaching.
After that, I mean, you know, you live to tell the story, and the story's in the book, and probably an unforgettable holiday for you. But has that left lasting memories of Cyprus for you? That first holiday in Cyprus, a very important holiday. Has that left, obviously it's left an important mark for you to be able to write this book, but I mean, did that form a view of Cyprus, and did that change your life in any way, do you think, that first holiday, that time, that experience? I mean...
I think it's made us stronger, me and my younger brothers, definitely. In the sense that, you know, we don't give up, you know, and we're happy that we came out alive. We knew, you know, there were chances that we weren't going to come out of it alive.
So did that make you more patriotic? Because up till then, you'd been English, in effect, with Turkish tradition at home.
You know, we were here, we adapted, we became patriotic, got back to England, well, we readapted again to our old lifestyle. What happened here, you know, stayed in my head, didn't upset me, worry me, didn't give me any nightmares or anything like that. But, you know, it stayed there, and it's still there as if it happened yesterday.
Obviously, because you were able to write the book, you remembered everything enough to be able to, you know, see the war through the eyes of a child. So, tell us a bit about the beginnings of this book. I mean, when did you decide that you wanted to share these experiences with other people? Because obviously, it's easy to talk about it now, but I mean, it must be a bit painful as well to recollect everything again and to write it down. You're reliving it again, aren't you, when you write? That's
30 years.
That's what, you know, novelists say, or, you know, writers say, especially when they're writing about their own experiences.
That's right.
You're going through it all over again, which is quite emotional, I suppose, for some people.
Yeah.
Some
parts were, when I was writing it.
What inspired you to write this book, Sonnet?
It was something that, I mean, every time the year 1974 was brought up in a conversation, it was, oh yeah, I was there. This happened and that happened and this happened and that happened and we did this and did that. And, you know, over the years it was like, it's starting to get a bit boring now. And it was basically something that I wanted to do anyway. I wanted to put pen to paper, put it down. I thought one day it's going to, you know, I might start forgetting things as I get older. So I thought it'd be nice to put it down on paper. And,
you're here now in Northern Cyprus to, in part, promote this book. I know there's going to be a book signing. There was a book signing
Saturday afternoon.
Not so long ago. But tell us about how we can get this book now. I mean, now that it's out and about and it's in our hands and we can see it, How can somebody who's watching this programme get a copy of this book?
Okay, I've got a website called thegreenline.co.uk, so that's www.thegreenline.co.uk. Can also be purchased on Amazon as a paperback, and also you can buy it as an ebook now. Managed to get it on there sooner than I anticipated, so that's good. I'm trying to get it onto your
iPad.
Your Kindle or your iPad. Yeah.
But you can go into bestseller bookshops. Sure. You've got one at Caracombe and another one at Elsin Track. You probably don't realise that. So you'll be able to buy it over. Yes,
is now going to be.
It's stocking them.
Stocking this book.
So they've got and maybe other shops later, but for the moment, the only retail outlet is the bestseller. Yeah. Soner's working on other connections because he's also having it translated into Turkish.
Yeah, it's been translated actually, and it's just going through the final proofread. Then I'll get it formatted.
And then return again.
And then I'll return again, get it printed as a paperback, and then on the book
again. Having polished up his Turkish, polished up his public appearances.
Funny enough, that's the first time I've read a book in Turkish, because I had to read it, I had to read it to make sure everything was okay. I was amazed. It was the first time I've read a Turkish book, so
it's amazing.
It is quite difficult. I mean, even though we're brought up in a Turkish Cypriot, Turkish language house, my Turkish was terrible until I came here and I had to learn. Although I didn't actually have to learn because I got an English job here at BRT.
But you're working with people.
We're working with English-speaking people, but it's not until you actually thrown into a situation that you actually realise how good or bad your language is. For a Turkish version of this book. Yeah. At the moment, aside from your immediate family, have you had a response from people who have read this book? I mean, aside from the lovely Marion, who is reading it at the moment, I mean, what's the initial reaction that you received from the book?
First thing they say is they can't put it down, because I think I've managed to have a little cliffhanger at the end of every chapter. I had a woman send me an email from, I think she's in northern England, I'm not sure. This morning I had an email from her saying that she couldn't put the book down. She loved it. She's going to pass it on to her son, who tried to read, I think it was the Genocide Files or something like that.
That's a bit tougher going.
Yeah, so definitely. She said this would be really ideal for him, and he's happy to give it a go and read that. 15-year-old boy. But yeah, the initial first thing they say is they can't put it down, and they're very impressed. They like the story. I had a Greek friend in the UK. She read the book. I got her to proofread it actually as a friend, and she really loved the book. She couldn't, she really didn't know how to say how much she loved it. So I said to her, do you want to write a few lines down? And I'll put it on my website. She goes, yeah, sure, but I can't do a few lines. You know how I am, I talk a lot. She's very chatty. So I says, okay, write down whatever you can, but keep it short, And then she came back with a little critic about the book. And
it's in the preface, isn't it?
Yeah, so I decided to put it in the front of the book. It was a nice little piece she wrote. Saying that it was interesting, and both Turkish and Greek people alike should read it. Yeah,
that's very interesting, because again, some people can say, well, it's biased because it's from a Turkish Cypriot point of view, and it didn't happen that way. But again, you're getting positive responses from the Greeks as well, which I suppose just goes to show how well you've written and how. Really, you can't criticise the eyes of a young child. They can't lie, can they, really?
No. Tell you something that's just occurred to me. No insult. This is almost Enid Blyton stuff. And I think that this is very good for schools here, and even in the South, to have as part of their reading curriculum. And it's history, but it's written in a way that children from quite a young age can read it as an adventure story as well as it being history.
Yeah.
And like you were saying
How do you
about...
feel about being back in Cyprus this time around, promoting this book in the island where it actually all happened?
I love Cyprus. I come all the time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a year sometimes. Keep visiting. Don't like it when it's cold and wet.
Who does?
Yeah.
You want the warm weather, don't you?
Yeah, I love July, August. That's my favourite time.
Yes, I do. I love being hot.
So, yeah.
So come on, $64,000 question that I ask all successful Turkish Cypriots who are living abroad. Why won't you come back here to help rebuild the country?
That's a difficult question to answer.
I tried in '95, and it was very difficult. I came when everything was cheap. I did a bit of pottery, tried to make a bit of money. Everything became very, very expensive. This as expensive as the UK. I don't know how people manage. I couldn't even afford to buy meat at the time. And then decided, well, this isn't for me. I can't do it. I've got to go back. Plan 2 is this time round, I'm going to do it properly. Got several properties. I rent them out. Built a bungalow in Geçikale as well for the family. Not quite finished. I want to build some chalets and a swimming pool. Plan to do that within the next 2 years.
Okay.
Wait for my daughter to finish her university. And then I'll come back
Coming over as well?
I shouldn't need to worry about money this time. So I'll come, I'll do something.
That's good.
But really I wouldn't need to worry about an income because I have passive income.
I think that's the big thing, isn't it?
It is.
Financial security is. After the first book, do you have any more plans for sharing any other parts of your life with the public? Because sometimes, you get the writing bug, and you want to maybe share some more. No intentions of doing that?
What about my year as a potter?
Yeah, maybe, actually. Thank you. No, I'm not a writer, it was something I wanted to do, write it down. I've done it. I didn't expect, to go into the publishing world and actually publish a book. That was a real headache and hard work. I thought I'd write the book, give it to a publisher and sit down and just leave it. Doesn't matter. It was hard work. But the bug, I think there's something in the back of the mind that's saying, maybe I will do one more or a follow-up. But I don't know. It might be 10 years later. It might be 15.
The other question is, I know a couple of people here who want to produce a book, well, 3 people actually, who, as you say, find it very expensive in UK. Would it be worth their while coming to you for a quote?
I've created a website whereby they can go on the website, information on how to self-publish your book.
Right,
It's a easy 1, 2, 3, but there's about 15 steps in it.
Well, every journey starts with a single step.
I don't want any money. I believe that, if you've written your book, I think some of these publishers are very greedy. You've written your book, try and self-publish it. Those royalties, EYYA.
Yeah,
publishing.
Well, I just have to say, Sonia, that I hope that people who are watching now will be inspired to buy the book and to order it from you or from the website or from Amazon or download it as an ebook on iTunes or whatever. I think it's a great...
or pop into bestseller when you go shopping at the
of course, here in Northern Cyprus. I think it's a great thing that you've done to share a difficult time in your life. I think looking back now, you probably appreciate how serious things were then. But through the eyes of a child, I think that you've really made an inspiring story. I'm sure it's going to be interesting to anyone who wants to find out more about the real situation on the island.
Yeah, the real
and about being, Turkish Cypriot living in the UK as well. It's not always easy to be the foreigner, be interested to read this book. I thank you for taking time out to come to us today to BRTK and to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you for having me.
And maybe we'll have you back here on a Turkish language television programme when the Turkish language version comes out. Do we have any a deadline for that Turkish language version yet?
I think it will be printed by the end of April, May. But when I'm back here in July the 5th, and I'll definitely be bringing some copies over.
Okay, so...
There's a little job for you. It's obvious Sona doesn't feel quite adequate enough in his native language. So perhaps you could go on the show with him as interpreter.
With two of us with our broken Turkish, that would be an interesting programme. But we'll arrange something. I'm sure there'll be a programme to fit Soner in.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And let me give out the website once again. It's www.thegreenline.co.uk. As Marion rightly reminded me again, you can get it at the Bestsellers Bookshop in Karakum, and the other stories in was it
Alsenjak?
Yes, and
new one.
It is available. It is, of course, The Green Line, Holiday in the Warzone, Cyprus 1984, a true story of a brutal war seen through the eyes of a child. Yes, 8-year-old Soner comes alive again in this book, and I'm sure your daughter and your family are proud of you. Yeah. We are proud that, you know, somebody in the UK is bothering to still bring Cyprus alive for us. And here in all Cyprus, we thank you for that as well, Soner.
And the fact that he's going to come back. I think that's really
come back,
nice.
please come back.
Yes,
it is a lovely island, and I think, despite any negative thoughts of other people, it is paradise on earth. It's paradise for me because Soner, thanks a lot for everything.
Thank you, Jan.
And hopefully see you again soon. And with that, we've come to the end of A Cup of Conversation. Until we meet again next week, take care. Bye-bye.